Well, I'm having some sunflower seeds. Trying not to smoke. I can't reach the cigarettes anyway. It's 4:30 in the morning. I look like hell. I feel like hell. Wanted to make a video early this morning. Can I please have a cigarette, Robert? In response to Jamie Punky Boy's video talking about, it was in the comment section we were discussing that hate is a taught thing. It is a learned behavior. I wanted to talk a little bit about hate, and I don't mean YouTube hate, I mean real life hate. And, you know, I'm not all into hate. It's not about that, but, you know, I've had some people talking about, you know, we can't stop hate. We can't. I know we can't, but in real life, I tried to teach my children not to hate, not to be racist, to love people for who they are, and to accept and try to understand everybody. It would be a really boring place if we were all the same. At any rate, my youngest son learned at a very young age what discrimination was. I'm trying to think here, I'm kind of sleepy. I never taught him anything, or he'd never been exposed to any racial comments or racist comments. And we lived in the city for a long time. And, you know, all the children just went down to the playground, played together, and, you know, it was all fine. Well, we moved out here when he was at the last part of his kindergarten year. And we moved into an area that was primarily Hispanic. And he learned really young what it was like to be teased, because he was the only white boy in the neighborhood, or one of the few, the only one his age. He didn't understand what they were saying, but since my husband was a Mexican, he could pretty much tell my son what was being said. It wasn't nice. And so he wasn't, you know, accepted by the neighborhood kids. And there were a few, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 at the very end of the road that were white children. And they, of course, picked on him because my husband was a Mexican. So he was ostracized all the way around in the neighborhood. We left for a couple of years, moved out. We had some rental property there. And we moved out to the country. Everything went really good out there. We moved back to one of the rental properties because we sold our place in the country. The very day that we moved back in, my son was in the end of the 2nd grade. And he was jumped by maybe 5 or 6 neighborhood kids that very day while we were in the process of moving, and had his arm broken by these children. So yes, you know, and where do you think this hate came from? From their parents, because they're taught to hate other people simply because of the color of their skin. So yes, I've experienced hate. My son, unfortunately, learned what hate was way too young. I'm not a whiner. I don't say, oh, poor pitiful me. You know, we had some kids that, the same kids that teased my son because I was married to a Mexican guy. My sister and I, we're both bigger girls, and we were like walking down the street, and the kids were singing, "Who let the cows out? Moo, 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 moo." You know, we just thought it was really funny. We just shook our booties and kept on walking. We laughed all the way down the road. At any rate, that was one of the things I wanted to say, and I hope it made some sense. After the storm, things have been kind of hectic. We've been looking for work, and you know, there's not any job prospects until there's power and sewer and water everywhere, and it looks like that's a slow process. The children still aren't even in school yet. But today, we both did actually find a job. It's a temporary seasonal thing at the racetrack, and that's good. But I think I'm just so exhausted. Things are finally sort of getting back to normal, but I think it's like the whole thing is just wore me smooth out. We went to stay at my mom's for a couple of nights, and she had a really hard bed, which I'm not complaining. I appreciate having a roof over my head, but it did something to my left hip and my lower back. I am just now able to get up and walk around without being in excruciating pain. One day Robert had to actually literally help me up out of bed and walk beside me to get me into the restroom. I could not straighten up. And then now I'm having these bouts of insomnia. So I could just like... Also today, what was kind of disturbing to me, we came back from our little job interview, and we hadn't been here 5 minutes, and somebody I haven't seen in years popped in when my daughter pulled up, and so she just brought him on into the room. I look up, and there's this tall, skinny guy I hardly recognize, you know, full beard, carrying a Budweiser bottle, obviously quite inebriated. And, oh, you know, it was so nice to see him, but I was so disturbed that he was so intoxicated. And he sits down, and he, you know, tells me how much he's missed me, and and I've missed him too, and I love him. I love him like a brother. But he told me that he'd done some kind of drugs before he'd come over here, and that they were starting to kick in and he had to leave. And I was just mortified. I said to him, you know what, we're not young anymore. Your body can't handle that stuff. It's just not good for you. And so, you know, that just is so disturbing to me. So disturbing. And I know that he's had a battle with that kind of stuff for the majority of his adult life. I don't even know where I'm going with this video. I just know it was disturbing to me to see him that way. And I just hope he finds some peace.